Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Labor Day Manic Monday edition of The Rundown. I am your host, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the left coast. But as we know, I do not do this program by myself.
No, you do not. I assist. My name is Mike Wachowski. I am coming to you from the East Coast, from the coast with the most guns. Let's say that. It's a great day, and proud to be here with you, everybody, here on the Rundown, the Manic Monday edition, Labor Day Manic Monday edition of the Rundown. Craig, it's great to be here with you.
Oh, it is definitely phenomenal. See, the reason why we decided to do the program, because quite honestly, for us, this is not work.
No, it is not. And you know what? I'm sitting here, and I realized we didn't do the camera test before we started today's show. And as you do, Craig, listen, we do more than the Rundown. You and I both do more than the Rundown. And over the weekend, I did the radio show from this portion of the studio. So I realized I was sitting about 5 feet too close to the camera here a moment ago. So sorry, folks, you had to come in with my head from top of your screen to bottom of your screen. I just moved back a little bit. So
yeah, Mike was looking like he was still too close. It looked like he gained a little weight.
Yeah, look, I was right here. I started the program right here all of a sudden.
Yeah, that's funny when you do, the fact that we do have so many different things that we do. It's like we're always readjusting stuff in order to make it fit for whatever program we're working on. So anyway, but we appreciate your patience,
Yes. Thank you very much. Yeah. Now we're back to normal size and everything here. The light. We didn't do the light check. We didn't do any of that. So
anyway, so are we gonna be putting anything on the grill today?
On the grill today, listen. I've got a very awesome grill. It's one of them grills that's got gas. It's got regular charcoal. It's got a burner on one side, smoker on the other, and I love it. And it's about 4 or 5 years old now, so it's got about 3 good grills left in it. Three good sessions left in it. So I try not to do small things on it. I want to do large things on it because I know at some point it's just going to crumble away. Because remember, unlike where you are, Craig, I'm in Florida, so you can, unless you bring it inside at night, 4 years tops is the most you're going to get out of a grill here because it's going to just rust away.
Wow, I never think about. I never think about that, but yeah, I guess that is one of the downsides of being there in Florida. But it's also an excuse to go buy a new grill every 4 or 5 years.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. I'm definitely looking for one. This one had listen. When you look at grills here, you're like, okay, how thick's the steel? That's what you want to know because you want to know how many years you're going to get out of it. If you just go buy those cheap Wally World ones, you're going to get 1 or 2 seasons out of it most before they start to rot apart at the seams. So
right,
I love grilling, and I even got one of those little indoor grills that I could grill on. Not a George Foreman, but like a regular.
Well, if it ain't a George Foreman, it ain't a real indoor grill.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I got one of them smokeless flame grills, So,
so
there'll definitely be some grill going on. I got some steaks out right now.
We have both a Blackstone griddle as well as we have a Camp Chef smoker. So we're just still deciding which one we're going to do. The smoker obviously takes a little bit more time, but definitely comes out so much better. Yeah. The Blackstone is actually, I like it because it's actually very convenient, easy to clean, very durable. It might wind up using the Blackstone, to make breakfast tomorrow, or it's great because you can do everything right there on one griddle.
I've got the griddle. I've got the smoker. I love doing smoked meats, but you can't do smoked meats in Florida in the summer. You'll kill yourself. You got to wait till the winter to come around. So you get about 3-4 months out of it. But I've really gotten into, Craig, is cooking the steaks on the cast iron inside the house.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. My son-in-law does that all the time. He's the master at it.
Yep. Very good stuff.
But if you want it done right, though, you have to be cool with rare to medium rare steak. My wife likes well, and I'm like, you can't. It's still too hard to do on a cast iron without burning it. The outer part, anyway.
I won't cook a medium to well. Medium, maybe I'll give you, but medium well or well steaks. If you want that, you go somewhere else. I'm not cooking that steak for you. I won't do it.
Totally understandable. Man has to have his standards.
Yep. Must have the meats. Have the meats.
Speaking of standards, let's get into today's first story. It's amazing, that, I'm looking right now, what's going on right now, all the things that are going on in Texas, whether it's the new abortion law or constitutional carry. And one has to remember, oh yeah, there's people running for office because all of a sudden Texas is starting to look a lot more like Texas in a lot of ways. And here's one. So we all know, we've talked about this over and over again, how the financial industry is basically coming after the gun industry and making it very difficult for them to do business. If by turning down transactions and things like that, not allowing firearms industry businesses to be banked, right? Well, one of the things that's happening now in Texas, they're actually looking at passing a law that is basically going to go after banks who seek to violate the constitutional rights or just basically get in the way of firearms industry companies, in particular manufacturers, doing business.
Yeah, here it is. I'm reading it right now. It's Senate Bill 19 just passed, went into effect, prohibits government entities from contracting with businesses that discriminate against the firearm or ammunition industry. This is targeted at the banks, Craig, just like you said. It's targeted at the banks. So if banks are out there and they refuse to work with the firearms industry, it doesn't matter if it's Johnny's gun shop on the corner or your massive Magpul organization. I think has moved down there to Texas as well. So depending on which company it is, large company, small company, if the banks are saying we won't deal with them, then guess what? The banks don't get to deal with any of the Texas government agencies. That means no securing a $500,000 loan to build a new park. That means no $100,000 contract for payroll accounts. None of that. That could be from a $10 deal to a $10 billion deal. The state of Texas is saying if you have any part of your company or organization that is refusing to work with the Second Amendment industry, then the state of Texas and all of its government entities refuse to work with you.
I love that, man. It is ultimately, I mean, how can you actually start discriminating against the company, against individuals who actually facilitate the exercising of a constitutionally protected right? That just never made any sense to me. It's never made any sense to me. But then again, when you start to look at, once again, I will continue to go back to this. You go back and you look at what fascism is. It's exactly that. It's in particular when you have individuals who are utilizing corporations in order to implement a social policy that they agree with.
Yeah. Oh, it's the hypocrisy of it. That's how they get to do it. They get to declare what they want is right, what is morally right, and that's where they come out there. They come out with these vice issues, these moral issues, where they've decided that they're not only going to be the government, but they're going to be the morality of what you are, which is completely opposed to what we normally see, right, Craig? Is it the Christian right? Isn't it the conservative right? But all of a sudden, the left gets to decide that you can't have the Second Amendment. Wait a second! I thought, didn't you just criticize us for our morals and beliefs? But now you're going to go after firearms because you're convinced, based on the other left-wing nut jobs that have been elected, that firearms are the bad thing and it's not the individuals.
Exactly. But now what we're going to have is, or at least in the state of Texas, those companies are going to have to reconsider whether or not they want to do business with one of the largest states in the country.
Yeah, there's other states that have looked at this. I know Florida looked at it. I believe Georgia has some kind of this in effect. If you recall, when you had the airline industry there that was starting to go after Second Amendment rights, that's when their governor at the time said, well, then we are no longer going to be contracting as the state. We're going to be contracting with these other companies that are anti-2A. So it's really nice to see Texas put it into law and put it on paper, and now it's being enforced. I mean, this law went into effect 5 days ago, and it's already being enforced.
So now I'm wondering if this has anything to do with our next story. Probably, maybe not. But the city of Portland, and we all know the progressive, forward-thinking morality police we have up there in Portland. They've decided that the city is officially going to ban all travel to Texas. But I don't think it's because of firearms law, is it?
Oh, it's going to be part of it. The people of Portland have decided that the new laws, the abortion laws, the firearms laws, the banking laws, whatever it is, that they don't agree with it. Abortion being their number one issue, but they're saying because of the new laws in Texas, the people of Portland are banning traveling to Texas. First off, you know, I don't even know if you can call it symbolic. This cannot be enforced whatsoever, thanks to the U.S. Constitution and the ability to travel freely from state to state. And you know, it's I don't even know. Listen, if they could, Craig, if they handed out bonuses for this, people in Portland still wouldn't be able to go because 90% of the people in Portland can't afford to leave Portland. It's just, you know, it's turned into this hippie hole in the ground where you know, they've driven all the big business out of town, and now you've got these. Well, look at the Chaz and the Chad people, right? This is all it's about. We give me my government handouts. I want my weed. You know.
Well, really, what they're doing here is it's really like no city employee. So in other words, if you are getting any city funding and you are going to an event in Texas, they will not reimburse it. That's usually what these quote unquote bans mean.
Right.
It's just, okay, well, no government money will be spent on it. So if you have a conference planned in Texas, yeah, you're not going to that conference. If you have a meeting planned in Texas, you're not going to that meeting, or at least we as the state are not paying, or in this case, the city, Portland, are not paying for it.
Yeah.
It is symbolic at best. It's probably worth more as a PR stunt than it is really anything else.
Right.
You know, I once again just will continue to go back to the whole idea of, you know, the Supreme Court of the United States, several individuals just basically made up a right that didn't exist. And I think that we have a right to debate whether or not it should be a constitutional right. And unfortunately, they don't. They just don't believe it should be discussed.
Yeah, listen, it's not a constitutional right. And I'm sorry, and I know that's the way it's been worded since 72, 73. That's a constitutional right. And again, my belief is that a constitutionally authorized body, interpreted the law to be this. So somehow that became a constitutional right. I don't understand that at all. And again, listen, the Supreme Court may take this back up. The only reason they turned this down, Craig, we talked about this the other day, is because the people who brought the lawsuit had no standing. So, and this is a constitutionally strict court now. I don't care. Here's basically what they said: we don't care what the issue is. If you don't have the right to bring the issue to us, we're not listening to it.
Right.
You know, we're setting some ground rules here, folks. You know.
Well, interestingly enough, if you go back and look at it, like right now, same-sex marriage, that's exactly what they did with same-sex marriage.
Right.
Because the state of California, who actually had standing at the time, it was Jerry Brown and there was Arnold Schwarzenegger and whoever the attorney general was. I think it was, who was the attorney general when he was? Maybe it was Jerry. Anyway, the attorney general of California and the governor of California refused to defend the law. Yeah. And so what happened was you had another organization. The organization that actually put up the ballot measure was trying to defend it, and they said, nope, you don't have standing. And that's how same-sex marriage got to be the law of the land, was because of standing. It had nothing to do with the Supreme Court actually ruling on the content of the substance of the content.
Right. No, exactly right. So yeah, this is Portland's decided, Craig, that they're not going to pay for funds to go there, and you and I get some travel. Oh no, you're not. You had to back out, or you're still up in the air. But we got some Texas travel coming up soon. And listen, I'm not from Portland, but I love going to Texas the greatest part for me is when you get off the plane and they hand you a cowboy hat and a gun. So I love that part.
Yeah. How about those cowboys?
They're like, here you go. Here's a cowboy hat.
Yeah.
Not that kind of cowboy hat, but you know.
Right.
Well, I guess they could, right? You know, hey man, check out the cowboy hat, man.
There you go. Well, you know, and I'll tell you, there are some folks who, they're not going to be very big fans of events like that, especially if they're pro-Trump events, because Eric Swalwell, and if you guys have never heard of Eric Swalwell, well, then your head has been buried in the sand. He ran for president. He's a left-wing kook wacko. I know this because I live in California. I know kooks and wackos when I see them, and he is one of California's finest kooks and wackos. But he basically came out and said that there was I guess it was a pro-Trump event, and they were basically saying that they were celebrating cop killers, Mike?
Yeah, you got to find this guy's thinking to get there. The way he works. Yeah, first off, you're right. This guy is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. There's no doubt in anybody's mind on him. There's a rally coming up. I don't have the date in front of me, later in the year, a couple months down the road, in support of President Trump, or former President Trump, but not just. It's not a Trump rally. It's a conservative rights rally. It's we're standing up for ourselves. We want the current members of Congress, the Senate and the House, to both hear us. And he has said that these are people, and this is the main goal, is that they're there to support the people that were at the rally on the 6th of January. So those they want to go there and show and again explain that those people are not terrorists. Those people were not criminals. Many of them believe that it was legal to walk through the house. It's a government building. It's a government house. I'm a member of this country. In any other government building in the country, you're allowed to walk through it because it's the people's building. So many people didn't even realize that this was a violation to walk through the building. Now, Craig, I want to be clear. You and I are not idiots. Those that broke down windows and doors and did property damage, you clearly knew they were doing wrong. But the other 90% that followed in behind them to an open door, they may not have known, and we're seeing those people being charged. This is what this rally's for, is to go and support them. Well, Swalwell says that the people going to this rally are many people like the Oath Keepers and one of the other groups out there. But again, he calls the Oath Keepers an extreme right-wing hate group. And if you're a member of the extreme right-wing hate groups, then you support the killing of police officers that occurred at the Capitol, Craig, because that's what Swalwell is still stuck on.
There's only one problem with that. Well, there's multiple problems. There was only one death at the Capitol that was caused by the riots. Only one.
Yep.
And it wasn't a cop. It was a veteran, unarmed woman shot by Capitol Police,
who just recently admitted that he was in no fear whatsoever, and he pulled the trigger because she had done some property damage previously.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry, but I don't understand how to continue to push that narrative. And it was funny because the New York Times pushed that narrative months after they knew that it wasn't true anymore. They continued to push that narrative. They updated their story like 3 months later, and they just kind of they didn't change the headline of the story. They just put like a little thing on there. The cause of his death was actually under investigation. But yeah, no, Eric Swalwell is the epitome of a liar. I mean, keep in mind though, this is also the same guy who had a Chinese spy, was sleeping with a Chinese spy anyway. So we're not going to give him points for being particularly bright.
No, none whatsoever. He's clearly the poster child for marijuana consumption in California. We'll say that.
Yeah. No, but once again, it's this sort of hyperbole that comes from people who are supposed to be or considered to be respected elected officials. It's that sort of division, that sort of hyperbole that gets people further down the food chain in the grassroots all hyped up. It's like, look, why can't you just disagree with them? If you disagree with the people who are rallying to support Donald Trump or the people who are rallying to support the people who were at the Capitol, then just say that. You don't have to start calling them cop killers, especially when you folks at the same time are looking to let killers, period, rapists and murderers out of prison in the guise of, being smart on crime.
There should be a test. There should be a test to be in office. I know it's not in the Constitution, Craig, but we have such idiots out there today. Listen, nothing difficult. How about, I don't know, the U.S. citizenship test? If you wanted to become a citizen of this country, and then maybe, I don't know, how about a criminal history background check and a drug test? I think we could do that, right? I mean, you're going to be accepting government funds, right? If you're a government employee, so shouldn't you have to pass those mandated tests that all other government employees have to?
I don't know why not.
Yeah,
but that should happen before the campaign starts, though.
Yeah.
All that no sense in you spend all that money on a campaign and you're not qualified.
Yeah, right. That's it. Well, he can't spend the money on the campaign because he's spending it on his other activities. Swalwell, like how to lie about weed and stuff. And everything.
Pretty much. But and by the way, this kind of leads us into our next story, and this is weird. So you guys have heard of the Defense Reauthorization Act? It's basically a budget bill, right? It's literally just a bill that has all of the information and the funding for the military. Well, oftentimes people will try to they will either claim that something is in there, or people will actually try to stick stuff into budget bills, because it's really the only way they can get policy passed. Well, one of the things that Democrats, it's rumored, are trying to sneak into the Defense Reauthorization Act would be basically something that would prohibit members of the military from being extremists or members of extremist groups or having extreme ideologies. And when you start getting into how they defined extremists, it basically means being conservative.
Yeah. Here's the irony of this. I love this one. The way that they just, like you said, they define the extremist groups, and they give by example, by names, one of the groups as the Oath Keepers. Now, Craig, I don't know if you've ever run into a group of the Oath Keepers. These are people that have decided, whether they were from Cub Scouts all the way through yesterday, if they've taken an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America, that there's no expiration date on that oath, and that they will continue to be an Oath Keeper. Well, again, our FBI and our DOJ has defined Oath Keepers as an extremist organization now. Yet we don't want to have people in the military that might be extremists and might be Oath Keepers, even though to join the military, you take that oath.
Well, we can't have people in the military keeping oaths now, can we?
So, yeah, right. I mean, you're going to take the oath. And
politicians have already done away with that arcane thing of keeping oaths.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like you said, politicians, where they do take that oath when they're sworn in, it means nothing to them, and we know that from the number of times we see them pass illegal, immoral, unethical legislation. That clearly, if they didn't have absolute immunity, they'd be tried themselves. Yet the military that takes that oath to support and defend is now an extremist because they've taken an oath to support and defend. So I don't know how you have anybody in the military, because if you're taking an oath, you're an oath keeper, you're an extremist, and you can't have extremists that are oath keepers in the military.
Who's on first?
Yeah, exactly right. So, yeah. But these are the ridiculous thing that the tribe comes up with, or the squad, whatever their name is. Yeah.
It sounds good, though.
Yeah.
It sounds good. And that's really them, right? See, the scariest part about all of this is, and I can tell you because we're living it here in California, at least in Washington, D.C., there's a group of people who call themselves conservatives, Republicans, that has some conservatives in it, that is standing in the way of some of this the crazier stuff actually getting into law. Well, in California, we don't have that. We don't have enough to stand in the way of anything. And we have a governor who's pretty much decided that, I'll sign anything they send to me. And I'm telling you, it becomes a 3-ring circus. And that's what we're seeing now in California is literally, whether it's, drought or wildfires or electrical shutdowns or locking down the entire economy, keeping kids out of school, you name it, or shutting down Uber drivers. I mean, it's bad out here. It is getting bad out here policy wise. And I'm thinking that the recall is at least a sign that some normal people have woken up.
Yeah. And, I appreciate everything you're saying, but the same reasons you have your recall now is the same reasons you had your recall 20 years ago. It's not, maybe there was a lesson to be learned, but they didn't remember it rather well. Or maybe your population is just completely turned over in the past 19 years since your last recall election, 18 years since your last recall election. But Craig, take the high ground. Take the high ground. Get yourself something with a scope on it, right, and hold out.
People. I'm telling you, the problem is, people think, okay, well, we got rid of that guy, so now we've solved the problem. The thing is that no one election is going to solve California's problems.
No, and we know that with the any election. We saw that with President Trump, right? We brought a guy in who wasn't from the swamp, and he spent 4 years fighting the swamp. Imagine what that guy could have got done if he hadn't had to fight his own people.
I keep thinking, now that I think about it, we should put the Swamp Thing and put Donald Trump's hair on it.
Oh, yeah, the swampy gold hair. Yeah, yeah, I like it. I
Oh
like it.
man! But hey, look. Okay, so this next one. Let's get into the next story. I was trying to think of a cool transition, but I'm like, this is okay. So you guys know we've had hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of minors coming to the border, coming into the country. Well, apparently we've lost thousands of them. Thousands of them. We have absolutely no idea where they are, where they've gone. We've literally handed them over to people without even vetting who the people are that we're handing them over to, and they're just gone.
Remember the stories, Craig, of the child abuse and the sexual abuse on children that we had going through government, and we know that the President Trump's administration and the DOJ spent countless hours and time getting rid of the the underage trafficking of children
Yes.
and doing it. I mean, except and you saw these raids going on around the country where these children would be saved and sent back to home and wherever they were from in this country. Yet here we have, sleepy hair sniffing kid Joe losing kids at the border, and now they're like, "Hey, what happened to little Johnny and his sister that were right here? I don't know. All right, well, bring me another one." What? They've lost thousands of children. Lost them. Do you have them? No, I don't have them. I thought you had them. Well, did you check in the back seat of the car? They're not there. All right. Well, next. They've really got that attitude with this.
I have an idea. I think this is a problem that Joe Biden is uniquely qualified to solve.
Yeah.
I'm sure he can sniff them out.
Listen, they give him they give him a little sniff of like a young Mexican child's hair, and then they say, "Go, Joe, go find him, and he just says, and he starts moving around the country like a canine looking for the drugs. He just found one. Give him the ball. He's good to go.
Exactly. That's what I think. That's what I think we ought to do. But what's interesting is that you don't see a lot of this in the mainstream media. Mainstream media is literally there's nothing going on at the border.
No,
I'm
nothing.
like, there are hundreds of thousands of people streaming across our border that we know of.
Right.
That doesn't include the hundreds of thousands that we don't know about that got through undetected. Hundreds of thousands of them, and many of them, a huge chunk of them, are children, are unaccompanied minors. And we are losing them. We have no idea where they are. ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, CNBC, MSNBC are saying nothing.
Yeah, listen, it's so horrible down there at the border. They've abandoned all work. Everything like has gone on. There's so many holes in the fence. They're so short of manpower. I read a story, a second-hand story. I got it from the guy who was there that said things are so bad at the border. The holes in the fences are there, and there's no maintenance for them. That the Customs and Border Patrol people have taken the old cargo construction containers, 20-foot containers that you put construction materials in, and they're dropping them along the holes in the fence because there's no longer anybody there to fix the holes in the fences again. So they're using the abandoned construction equipment to now work as the fence line.
I'm speechless. But once again, those of you out there who voted for Biden because you didn't like Orange Man and his mean tweets, this is on you.
Yep.
It's funny. I find it hard to even blame Joe Biden because he's not even cognitively there half the time. I blame the people who put him in office.
Yes, yeah. I'm convinced most of the time he's not aware he's there, or he thinks he's been the president for 20 years.
Not at all. Or he thinks he's still a senator.
Yeah, he has no idea what's going on. So, and where's Kamala? She's just wandering the countryside somewhere, and she had no idea what she's doing either.
Mm-mm. Corn Pop was a bad dude.
Yeah,
just out of nowhere.
Yeah. You don't know, buddy. Come on, let's step outside. You and your AR-14s.
Okay, so All right, let's move on to our parting shot. Now, this one was hilarious. Mike picked this one out. Mike, tell me what tell us what your thinking was on this particular parting shot before I put it
Well,
out.
Craig, every time you and I get to a story and we say something like, "Oh, look, a U.S. senator, or excuse me, a U.S. congressman just said that Trump supporters support cop killers," you're like, where in the world do you get that from? That's the most ridiculous thing in the world. Nobody could possibly believe that. Or you talk about, Craig, did you hear about what's going on the border? They lost thousands and thousands of kids. That's crap. That's the stuff you see on the dark web, the QAnon. You see all that other stuff. And now, Craig, all of these wild and wacky stories that we've always said, not a chance. Not a chance they're true. They're all coming true. So that's when I saw this. I was like, this is us.
U.S. facing shortage of conspiracy theories as all of them have come true. Let's see. Well, think about it. You've got the Chinese Wuhan Kung Fu bat flu.
That's right. That's right.
Came out of a lab, and it's
China.
likely it's gone from that is a wild, crazy theory, a conspiracy theory, a racist conspiracy theory to that's most likely what happened.
Yeah, well, and then remember, it was we just need 2 weeks to flatten the curve and make sure the ventilators stay free and the ICU beds stay free, and then we'll be back to normal, folks.
And conspiracy, quote unquote, conspiracy theorist says no, they're going to let this thing drag out. They're going to shut down the economy. They're going to start redistributing wealth.
Yeah,
is that not what they're doing?
Here you go. Yeah, that's all of the conspiracy theories have come true. They continue to come true.
Such is our life. Such is our life. Such is life in these United States in this time. Anyway, what was that saying? It's a republic if you can keep it.
That's right.
I'm starting to wonder, to be quite honest. All right, folks. Hey, we're going to be wrapping up here, but before we do, Mikey's going to give a shout out to our sponsors.
Hey, hello, sponsors. How are you doing today? We got our good friends from Grid Defense and Gorilla Machining. I think we're going to get another one to pop up here within the next week or two because Gorilla and Grid have been fighting it out for top spot. So we enjoy having them with us. We'll get some more giveaways from them this week. I know we'll have it, and that'll be on Freedback Friday. So make sure you watch every day until Freedback Friday because we've got on Friday we have quiz time too. And if you can win quiz time and answer things from the previous shows, then you get even more bonus stuff. So many thanks to our good friends at Grid Defense and Gorilla Machining. Please check them out.
Exactamundo. Well, folks, it's been a pleasure today. I very much appreciate you guys tuning in. Appreciate you liking, sharing, and subscribing. So make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you're following us on Facebook. And make sure you're visiting our sponsors and letting them know how much you appreciate them supporting the Rundown. Oh, by the way, just to remind you, you guys can now find us. There's an audio version of the podcast. We're on Google Play, Spotify, soon to come to Apple and iTunes.
Man, that sounds awesome. We should be on that show.
We should get on that show.
We should
the
get on
Rundown
that show.
Audio.
Yeah, that's it. Good
All
stuff.
right.
Good stuff.
Talk to you folks later.